guys. This is Carol Ann Palat, and I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. It is 7:01, and Brittany is actually gonna sneak in to the webinar here instead of being at home on her computer. So, says failed to go live. We'll keep trying. Okay, so let me enable the chat. And if somebody will just tell me if they can hear me, that would be great. Let's see. It looks like it's working. Let's just make sure. Just trying to get this going here. Give me 1 second. Well, there it is. Okay. Sorry, I lost my little chat screen. So Ashley says hi from South Carolina. Hi, Ashley. Okay, so I'm going to start because, like I said, Brittany is going to come in a little bit late. She's in the area, so she's just going to come over here and do it with me. But she'll be here a few minutes late. So first of all, I'll start over. I'm Carol Ann Palat, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And I am directly under, sorry, I thought that was Brittany. Brittany Comp. Hello, hello. Who is that? That would just be a child, sorry. Directly under Brittany Comp. And so her page is the Lovelies page. I know that some of you guys might be on her team, and you're watching because she posted the link. So great, we'll just jump right in. I've had so many girls ask me about the leadership bonus plan and the way you get paid on the girls that are on your team. So that's the primary focus of this webinar tonight, is to go over that so that you guys can understand how you get a check if you sponsored girls, so how to qualify for a check, and then the percentages that go along with that. So first, let me talk just for a second about team building. I think it's important for you to remember that your team will grow organically as you're successful and as you do parties and meet people and you're generous and you have good customer service by nature, people will want to join your team. So don't stress it. Don't feel like you have to force it or really push people to join your team. It will happen, and it will happen quickly usually. So it's usually kind of a domino effect. So once you get one or two, it just kind of starts rolling. So the other thing is to remember that the way the team is structured is really the way the chain of command should go, and that's really to help everybody involved all the way from the top of the team to the girls who are 4 and 5, 6 down. So just remember that if you have an issue or a question or concern, always go directly to your sponsor, and then from there they can kind of take it up the chain if they feel like it's something that needs more assistance. So I'm going to screen share here to get to the PowerPoint. Let me clarify that I'm not an expert on this. I'm just talking from the PowerPoint that I got from Art McCracken, who is, I don't know what his exact title is, but he is works at home office, and he does a lot with the consultants, and does a lot of the trainings, and helps a lot with the leadership piece. And so I asked him for a recent leadership bonus plan a few months ago, and so that's what I'm going to speak from. There is another level now to this. It's called mentor, but we don't even need to go there yet. So we're just going to start with the basics. If you have questions, you can, as I go, you can certainly post them in the little chat portion, and then I'll try to go back and do that. Okay, so you're going to see my screen and leadership bonus plan. Let's see if this is you are screen sharing. Perfect. Okay, so I guess I should make sure this is working. I hope so. Okay, so let's see. Let's just make sure this is. Okay, I think we're good. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to start. So we are fashion consultants. We start at the very beginning with just our products. And this slide talks about how we make 35 to 50% off of our sales. So just the merchandise that we get from LuLaRoe, our Irmas and Randys and leggings and maxi skirts, when we sell those, on average, we make between 35 and 50% profit. So really that is where you want to start. That's where you want to focus your time and your energy. And that is in and of itself can make you plenty of money, which is why we, what we all saw, one of the facets that we saw when joining LuLaRoe, obviously there's a great potential to make a lot of money just selling the clothes. And I think it's important to know that our percentage of sales that we make, the percentage that we make off of each sale is so much bigger than so many other companies. It's really interesting if you have friends in other direct sales businesses. So, okay, so this is shows the sponsor relationship. So we are the sponsor. You're a sponsor when you sponsor even just one girl. When you have one direct fashion consultant that's underneath you, you're considered a sponsor. You are eligible for 5% of what your new fashion consultant orders. So 5% of the money that she pays into LuLaRoe for her order within a month. There are some requirements to get that check, but and we're going to go over those in just a second. But that's essentially, I'm a sponsor, and I have probably close to 100 girls on my team. Brittany's a sponsor with 500 girls. And then the girls that just have one girl, they're considered a sponsor too, because they have at least one girl underneath them. So often we call the girls that are directly underneath you, we refer to that as your directs. So the minimum requirements as a sponsor are, obviously, you have to enroll a fashion consultant on your team. And then to get paid on her for that month. So let's talk about February. If I signed someone up last month in February, in order for me to get paid on her, I have to have ordered 175 pieces that month. So the catch is, or the kicker is, that it all has to be within the same month. So let's say you signed up a girl last month, but you didn't order 175 pieces last month. You will not receive a check from LuLaRoe for your direct fashion consultants if you do not order 175 pieces. And then the other piece of that is that, let's say you have 3 or 4 directs and one of them signs up a girl underneath them. Until you hit trainer, which is the next level, and we'll talk about that in a second, you only get paid on your directs. So you will not get paid on the girls underneath your directs until you hit the next level, which is trainer. So as a sponsor, I'll just review. You have to have at least one girl underneath you, and you're going to get paid 5% of what your direct consultants order in that month, the amount that they pay into LuLaRoe for all of their pieces ordered, as long as you order 175 pieces in that month. So, and then the other requirement is that you coach, train, and support your new sponsored fashion consultant. All right, so next becomes trainer. And I know a lot of you guys are a little confused about this, and so really that's the big piece here that we want to talk about. So trainer means that you have 10 girls on your team total, and it doesn't matter where they are on your team, but 3 of them do have to be direct. You have to directly sponsor them. So we'll talk about my team. You can hit trainer a number of ways, but if it was me, then I would have to have 3 directly sponsored girls underneath me. And then from there, all the other 7 to equal 10 total for your team could be anywhere. They could be all 10 direct to me, or the other 7 out of the 10 could be under those 3 girls. It doesn't matter as long as there's 10 and 3 are direct. So that's the first requirement for trainer. And this little breakdown helps a lot too. So you're the fashion consultant. For this one, this is showing 3 directs. So you're going to make 5% still off of those directs. As long as you qualify for a check in the month, you'll always make 5% off your direct consultants, no matter what. Again, as long as you qualify for a check. If you don't order anything, or if you fall short of trainer but don't order your 175 just to get a sponsor check, then you won't get paid on that. But as long as you qualify for a check, in whatever rank you're in, then you'll get 5% on your directs. When you hit trainer, the fun part is that, one of the fun parts is that you get paid 3% on the girls underneath your directs. So let's say you had 3 direct consultants, and for a few months you had 6. Those girls had 6 girls underneath them for a total of 9. You would not get paid on the girls 2 down until you hit trainer. So you're only going to get paid on your direct consultants until you hit trainer. So, and that's why those checks jump, because you're, when you go from just being a sponsor to being a trainer, that's why those trainer checks are good. I want to say on the cruise, they told us that the average trainer check was between $2,000 and $4,000. I know there's some that are more and there are some that are less, but that's kind of a starting point. And that's amazing, obviously. So, it happens fast for some people, and sometimes it takes a little more time, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. Like we talked about before, you want your team to grow organically. So, 5% off of your directs. You have to have at least 3. The other 7 to make 10 total in your team at a minimum. You can have 20 if you hit it with 20 that month. Awesome. But you have to have 10, and so the girls underneath directs, you're going to make 3% off. I hope that makes sense. So when it says bonus on the slide, I think it means the check amount. So the bonus equals 5% of all personally sponsored fashion consultants and 3% of all fashion consultants purchases in your group. And that means anybody underneath you is your group. And you get enrolled in the leadership pool. And we'll talk about that in just a second. The minimum requirement says trainer. We've already talked about the 3 personally sponsored and the 10 in your group. And then this is where we talk about personal volume and group volume, and it gets a little confusing when you look at the volume points, but when we talk about pieces sold, it makes much more sense, and it's a little bit easier to understand. So you might want to jot this down since I'm going to say it in a little bit different terms. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure this is, it looks like somebody can't get on, so looks good. Okay, so you have to have 5,000 personal volume points. What that means is that you're responsible for ordering 250 pieces in the month to get paid as a trainer, to qualify as a trainer, get paid as a trainer. So just like we talked about, ordering 175 pieces to get a sponsor check, you have to have 250 pieces to get a trainer check. The next thing is you can work as a trainer, to qualify as trainer, you can work with 3 girls on your front line, which means girls that you're directly sponsoring. So not girls 2 or 3 down in your team, but girls that you're directly sponsoring. You can work with 3 of those girls, and for every 175 pieces, if they order 175 pieces, you can bring your volume down by 50 pieces of what you're required to order. Here's Brittany.
Hi.
It's so weird because you're just talking to the screen.
No, I know.
At this point,
it's real weird.
when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So you can't see yourself.
Yeah, no.
So we like to see ourselves. So this is Brittany. Yay. So
I don't think they can't see me.
okay, so let's see. Let me say that's where it gets a little confusing. So on here, what it's going to tell you is, it's this bottom line. It says you can earn up to 3,000 of personal volume points by helping your 3 frontline personally sponsored fashion consultants qualify at 3,500 personal volume points. All that means is that, we'll give you an example here. In a month, when Brittany qualifies as, well, she's a coach now, but the same thing, she still has to have the same amount of volume. So she has to order 250 pieces. But if her good buddy, Carol Ann, who is directly underneath her, if I order at least 175 pieces in the month, then she can bring her volume order down by 50 pieces. So we talked about you have to have 250, and up to 3 girls, you can bring yourself down by 50 pieces each. These numbers on here, when it talks about 3,000 personal volume, each piece sold is 20 points. So you can divide those numbers by 20, and that is the number that equates to a number ordered. I know that's a little confusing, but as a trainer, you're required to order, your team has to order 1,750 pieces. So those 10 girls or more that are on your team together have to have ordered 1,750 pieces in that month. We'll review this in a second because I know it gets really confusing. So basically the requirements are 3 personally sponsored, 10 total on your team at a minimum. You have to order 250 pieces to get a trainer check, unless 3 of your front line, 1 would bring you down by 50 pieces, a second would bring you down by 50, a third could bring you down by 50. So the minimum that you can order to get a trainer check is 100 pieces. And those girls, in order to bring you down by 50 pieces each, those frontline girls have to order 175 pieces. So it doesn't count if they order 150 pieces. It has to be 175. And then finally, your total group volume for your team has to be 1,750. And I would say that's the piece that might take some time sometimes. Mm-hmm. So if you had 8 or 9 girls on your 10th girl, awesome. But you may not have the volume in March, so don't stress yourself out. Just keep working with your girls, and that volume will come. Sometimes, if you onboard,
should have them look at you again.
What do you mean?
Are they looking at you right now?
Yeah,
I thought they were looking at this. I think
they probably are looking at this. I don't know.
I thought this was your screen.
It is my screen. I am sharing my screen,
so they can't see me. They can't see you.
That's funny. Okay, we'll do a review at the end. Okay. Sorry. It's because I've been talking with my hands. That's really better.
No, it's
probably. Fine. So, I don't know what I was saying.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Oh, if you onboard quite a few people in a month, often that will help with volume because your girls your girls are placing at least a 300-piece order. And that adds up quickly. 3 girls that onboard gives you close to 1,000 pieces. So then the rest of your team would just have to order 750. So this is where we get kind of a little bit farther than really we necessarily have to go, but we'll talk about trainer with a graduated trainer and then coach just briefly, because I know that there are obviously girls on Brittany's team that are there, and there are a few girls that are really close to coach. So we'll talk about that briefly. So basically, once you hit trainer and girls underneath you hit trainer, it's all the same requirements. You have to meet all your own requirements, and your girl underneath you to hit trainer has to meet all her own requirements. But once that happens, you're going to get a point in the leadership pool for being a trainer and a point for every trainer on your team. And that's until you hit coach. And once you hit coach, the points change a little bit, and we'll talk about that. But the only other thing besides that is the percentage changes. So I'll give an example. Before I was a trainer and Brittany was a trainer, she made 5% off of me and 3% off my entire team. Once I hit trainer, she continued to make 5% off of what I ordered, but then she only makes 1% off of my team, because I am now gaining a percentage to make off of my team. So really, it all makes sense if you really look at it and kind of study it. When the percentage drops off for her a little bit, it's because the trainer that's closer to the girls is getting paid a little more on them. And really, that's just to encourage you to reach all the way down and help those girls. It doesn't matter how far down they are, but essentially you're working more with the girls that are closer to you in the line. So that's all this is showing. So now that I'm a trainer, Brittany gets a point for herself for being a trainer, and then she gets a point for me for being a trainer. She's a coach, and that's different, but we'll talk about that. So the leadership pool is a really cool piece, and that's where the money can get a little crazy because the leadership pool is added, and the higher you grow in rank, so leader or trainer, coach, and then mentor, the more points you accumulate for things. And so we'll just read down through this because it'll probably say it better than I can. Participation in the leadership pool is based on a point system. The total value of the pool will be divided by the total points earned. So basically, LuLaRoe in a month, so for the month of January, because we haven't gotten February checks, they take all of the money that LuLaRoe has made, and they do, is it 2%? 1%. It's 1% of the money that the company has made, not the fashion consultants individually in any capacity. It has nothing to do with what you sell. It's what the company has made. And they take 1% of that, and then they take all the points that are divided out with all the girls, just like you would think of in a pool, and they divide the number of girls that get, or the number of points, into the gross sales, and that's going to give them a number. What that usually means is between $400 and $600. So the point is worth a value every month. It's worth a numerical value every month, and it's different every month. But in January, it was like
610, a little over 6.
So I usually in my brain think about it somewhere around $500 because it makes nice. It's a nice even number to me, and I can. It's easier to think about it that way. So this will create a dollar value for each point, just like we talked about, and then the bonuses will be paid to the leaders based on their individual points earned. Trainers will receive a point for qualifying as trainer and 1 point for each trainer in their group, just like we talked about. Brittany gets a point for herself and a point for me. And then leaders, which this is before they changed it to coach, so that should say coach. But coaches will receive 2 points for qualifying as a coach and 1 point for each trainer on their first level and 2 points for each trainer on their second level. And that'll make sense in a second when you look at I think the next slide is coach. This says leader, but it should say coach. They changed the name because we call anybody who sponsors anyone a leader in LuLaRoe. So coach is not the word. So we'll talk about this in terms of Brittany just briefly because it can get really confusing, and I don't know that it's really necessary. But what I'll say is that if you're anywhere close to a coach, you definitely want to reach out to your upline, whoever that is, because it gets a little hairy. Your team gets so big, and you want to make sure you're not missing anything so that you don't lose the opportunity to increase in rank. Obviously, the same thing with trainer. Definitely reach out if you're close and make sure you're meeting all your requirements. So the difference between leader and coach, or coach and trainer, is a trainer has 10 girls, and then a coach has 3 direct trainers underneath them, and those girls all qualify as trainer.
3 legs,
or 3 legs. Yes, Brittany's calling them legs, and that's true. So if we're looking at this picture, basically this fashion consultant here has 5 direct consultants. And like we talked about before, all her directs, she'll always get paid 5% on them no matter what. Awesome, because she'll always be working with them and helping them. For each trainer that has graduated in her team and broken off, we call that breaking off as a leg. So the top leg on here is a trainer with a trainer underneath them. And so it shows you those percentages. So if this is Brittany, she's going to, and let's say this top, well, Mandy Abbott is one of her, well, no, what's one of your trainers with a trainer? Well, me.
You.
Yeah, I guess. I was thinking of a coach under a coach, but so we'll say this top leg is me. So Brittany's going to make 5% off of me no matter what. And then my next trainer is Messina. Messina is a trainer on my team, and so she's going to make 1% off of Messina's whole team as well. And so basically I have to have qualified as trainer, and so did Messina. So the really nice part about this is that, hi, hey, sorry, that would be my son. The nice part about this is that the points go up as you hit coach. So Brittany gets 2 points for herself, a point for every direct trainer. You may want to lock that door. And then 2 points for every trainer that is 2 down on her team. So so that's 2 for her, 1 for every direct, and 2 points for every girl that's 2 down underneath her trainer, her first line of trainers. And so what that means is that as a coach, you make a minimum of, what, 5 points?
Yeah. I think I had, what did I have? I think I had 13 in January.
Right.
14?
13 or 14 in January. So you can see how that can add up quickly. And so when you kind of increase in rank, then it just goes up a little, it goes up exponentially versus just by a point here or a point there. So again, if that's something you need help with, or you want to try to understand more, reach out to your trainer or your coach above you. Sorry, that would be my son. So this says leader notes. It means trainer note, coach notes again. But remember that a trainer has at least 3 frontline fashion consultants and a total of at least 10 in their group. So basically that's saying that one of the things I think that'll catch people is when Brittany became a coach, she still has to maintain her volume of 1,750. And that's where it gets a little confusing because, or, you know, you really have to continue to grow your team
outside
and work with all your girls, because when I broke off as a trainer, she still could count what I ordered in her 1,750, but she can't count what any of my girls underneath me ordered in her 1,750. So that's why we talk about getting many directly sponsored girls, and we call that going wide before you go too deep. Because if all your eggs are in one trainer's basket and she breaks off, then you have very few eggs, and then you don't make trainer if she makes trainer. And that happens sometimes, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world, but it is something you definitely want to try to prevent. And if you grow wide first, then that's a way to help that. So basically the success cycle, the 72-hour game plan, ultimately we still want to try to sell as much as we can. Like we talked about in the beginning of the webinar, that's where it starts, and that's where the meat of your business is. And as that happens and you begin to, as you're successful and you reach out to other people, then they want to do what you're doing and your team will grow organically. Then you're essentially going to teach them the same process, and it's going to keep rolling like that. And then you're going to be really successful. So this says questions. Let me go back and make sure. That would just be my son here. let me turn the screen share off. And we'll be back to the live webinar. So post if you have questions, but I think most people are going to watch this later. So we'll just recap because I think it will be helpful to do that. So to be a sponsor, you just have to have one girl on your team, and to get paid on your direct fashion consults that are directly underneath you, you have to order 175 in that month. So for February, you had to have ordered 175 pieces, and all of your direct fashion consultants, whatever they ordered in that month, you make 5% off of that as long as you order your 175. So that's sponsor. Next is trainer. You have to have at least 3 directs with a total of 10 on your team. Of course, that's a minimum. You can have more. You have to order 250 pieces personally, but for each direct fashion consultant that orders 175 pieces or more, you can reduce the amount that you have to order by 50 pieces up to 3 girls. So the minimum you would order to get a trainer check would be 100 pieces, but that's only if you had 3 girls directly on your front line that ordered 175 pieces. I know I'm repeating myself, but when you're new and this gets super confusing, and this is where people can lose it sometimes. The other piece of that is your group volume. So not just your personal volume, but your group volume, which means that the 10 girls on your team or more total have to order 1,750 pieces in that same month. And what you order does not count. So which makes sense, because essentially then you could just buy your check, which would really be a bummer, right? You wouldn't want to order 1,000 pieces and get paid on yourself. That's not really fun because you're not really making any money. So your volume doesn't count, but everyone underneath you does. So that is trainer. And then when you go to coach, the big thing to really be thinking about is going wide before you go deep. And the catch is, it's really hard not to read questions as they come up and you're talking. So I'll finish my thought and then we'll go to the questions. But with coach, same requirements. You still have to have 250 pieces of personal volume, and you can drop those by 50 up to 3 times, but only from direct fashion consultants on your team that order 175. And then your group volume still has to be 1,750. And this is kind of the big kicker. When Brittany hit coach, and I was one of her trainers, I said this before, but I just want to say it one more time, that my volume counts and will always count for her because I'm a direct fashion consultant to her. But once I hit trainer, my team's volume no longer counts for her 1,750. So what that means is she has 27 directs. Mm-hmm. So those 27 girls are responsible for carrying that 1,750, which is why if you only have 4 or 5 directs, even picking up one every few months, which honestly does happen organically. Once she becomes successful, it just kind of happens that way. But those 3 or 4 girls or 4 or 5 girls are not going to hold you all the way through because eventually they're going to break off. So that's where you want to have girls, what we talk about going wide in your team before you go deep. So basically, you can't count. Right now I have, or let's say last month, I have 3 girls who have really great teams and they're awesome. But 2 of them have broken off as trainers already, and the 3rd will this month. So when that happens, I lose a lot of my group volume, but it's okay because I have other girls. First, I have my direct fashion consultants, obviously, and I have 18. And so those girls always count towards my group volume. But the girls who haven't broken off as trainers yet, the girls on their teams, which many of them have 2 or 3 or even 6, their teams, those all count towards my volume as well, my group volume. So that's the big catch is that, and I was confused about that. And I know there's been some girls who've got really great teams who have gotten 3 trainers all of a sudden and
didn't even make trainer themselves.
Yeah, didn't make trainer because those girls' volumes dropped off, their group volume dropped off, and they didn't have the 1,750 to even just hit a trainer then, more or less the fact they had 3 trainers and they could have been a coach. So pay attention to that. I know we've said a lot of things tonight, so it can get confusing, but we're just trying to kind of lay the groundwork. So this says
you get 2 points at coach, which is 1 point.
Okay, can you kind of clarify? Let me read your question. Can you kind of clarify on the part where on the second level you get 2 points at coach with just 1 point at the first level? Did I misunderstand? I think you're talking about coach. Yes. So I'll say it with Brittany because I think it's easiest to think about in a real team. So when Brittany hit coach, which means she has 3 direct trainers and met all the trainer requirements herself, external to those 3 trainers' teams, when she hit coach, she gets 2 points now instead of just 1 that I get as a trainer. So 2 points for herself, and she gets a point for every direct trainer on her team.
Personally sponsored. Or I guess first level. Sorry.
Yeah, first level. And that can get confusing. That gets confusing, but so she gets a point for me, and I happen to be directly underneath her, but she has a couple of legs where there's a girl between her and her trainer, and that's okay. As long as they're a different leg than me, meaning they're not under me, then they count as a separate trainer than I do. And then Christy Reed counts as a separate trainer than that. So, but Christy's a great example. She has 5 trainers deep on her leg, maybe 4 or 5.
Oh, more than that, yeah.
Yeah, so they go, oh yeah, that's right, because it goes down to Michelle Driver and her girls. So that leg goes really deep. And so that's where it starts being helpful when you become a coach because you're getting paid farther down. So back to the coach. Brittany gets 2 for herself, 1 for every trainer leg, that first level trainer. And then if there's a second level trainer, she'll get 2 points for them. And it's for each one that's on a different leg. So I'll give that.
Should get, just thinking about this month, I think I should have 4 or 5 second level trainers this month. So
that would be like trainers on my team. So even if I'm not a coach, and I'm not yet, she still is, when she hits coach, that's when she gains those points. So 2 for her, 1 for her direct trainers, and 2 for trainers under those girls.
And then it stops there.
Yes.
Until you go to mentor. So I only make money off of people 2 levels below me.
And am I correct in saying that if you get the points, so if you go 1 level as trainer or if you go 2 levels as a coach, if you get the points for that, you also gain 1% of that whole team.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Until the next trainer.
So
then when I hit mentor, then I'll get a whole nother level added.
Sometimes, I mean, like I said, once you get to that point, you need to be talking to your sponsor or your direct whoever the trainer is that's just above you. You need to be talking to them to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. So any other questions? I know this can get really wordy and confusing, but really we've had girls who have not gotten checks or not gotten paid the amount that they thought they were supposed to get paid. And so really just trying to clarify that you know the requirements so that you can focus on meeting those every month. And then one other thing that I wanted to touch on was the field reports. So at this point, LuLaRoe's kind of working around Audrey because the genealogy portion of that is just not working right now. So don't be panicked on there. Certainly you can still see that team tree and kind of see where those girls are growing, but it's not all correct either. So what they're doing is sending out a field report. If you've qualified as trainer before at any point, then you're on the email to get the field report. But anybody can pull a field report because it's one big massive report and you use your consultant ID to pull up your own report. So Brittany and I look at the same thing. She just puts in hers and I put in mine and it pulls her.
But when I put in my ID, I can look at hers. So it's just
exactly because I'm on her team. So she can see the whole thing. And so Austin and Art and a million other people at home office that have worked really hard have come up with the most awesome report. And it truly tells you, it shows all the girls on your team, what they've ordered for the month. It shows kind of the breakdown of where they are in your team. And then it will total that and break them off as trainer if they've met all their requirements. So it's really nice as you're looking at it. For me, I knew towards the end of the month, okay, I had.
And you know how much you need to order, who,
exactly.
You can reach out to girls and say, oh, I see that you've ordered 149 pieces this month. If you order 30 something more to get to 175, you're going to get your override check.
Yep.
So it can kind of help you guide your team a little bit more.
Yes, it's a great way to check up on them. And honestly, in the very beginning, like that first time, you get excited, you get a check, and then people forget. They totally forget as they're trying to sell and do their business. Oh my gosh, I've signed up a couple girls this month, and they might order. I've had a couple girls that have ordered like low 170s, and it's really a bummer when you miss that check. So you just want to make sure that you're not missing those. This says, can we get access to that before trainer, or no? We hit it as soon as we get there. So you can, and the way you're going to do that is by your upline trainer. Also, it's coming through in Excel, and I have a Mac. Let me be clear, it's not Max, because I have a Mac and mine pulls up.
I think it should be fixed. Yeah.
Well, I still have some girls who have a hard time getting it, and
it's temperamental,
yes.
like Audrey.
It's not based on what kind of computer you have. I think it's you have to have the newest version of Excel. So you need to update your Excel. If you can't get it, that's kind of the first place to go. But I have girls on my team that are really close to trainer. They're just waiting for they've got the girls in the queue. And so what I've been doing is I'll just forward on the field report to them, or I can screenshot it on my Mac for them and send it to them.
Yeah.
So even though
all you're going to see, even if we send it to you, all you're going to see is your team. So it's no problem to get it to you if we need to do that.
Yes. So if you, and what happens is towards the end of the month, they send it out a lot. So I would think, what is today, the 4th? We might get one within the next, like maybe the end of next week, maybe not. But what really towards the end of the month, you're going to get them more.
Yeah, you get them about every other day at the end of the month.
They start giving them every other day, so you know. So Brittany knows that if I've ordered 125, she knows, okay, well, I can't come down by 50 points on what I order because of Carolyn. So
if you're a math challenge like me, it formulates for you. It tells you how many pieces you need to order to hit your numbers.
It's amazing.
So it'll basically just say, Brittany, you need to order 25 pieces.
And she's like, done. Let me get on and get some leggings, and we're done here.
Yeah, and especially when I was on maternity leave. I put myself on maternity leave. So I wasn't really ordering last spring because I had a tiny baby. And so I was just ordering my 100 pieces a month because I had 3 girls on my front line that dropped me down every month. So it took the pressure off of having to really push my business when, I wasn't really working that much. So.
And the rest of that question that you're asking is, when you hit it, will you immediately get access to that stuff? That's something that, so Nikki, what's Nikki's last name?
Well, she's just Nikki Nicole.
Nikki Nicole on Facebook. But she is in charge of our communications now. She's kind of getting this stuff from LuLaRoe to us, and they're doing a great job with that. That's why they're doing these hotline emails every day that tells us how many people are in the queue and how many people have been onboarded and all that good stuff. But I've seen where people have been messaging her their email address. I can't think of which email address it is, but we'll get it, and I'll make sure that we post it on Brittany's page, on all the team pages. But basically, you'll email and say, hey, I'm Carolyn, and I'm a new trainer. Can you add me to the email? And they'll add you. Mm-hmm. It just gets confusing. They don't want to send a field report out to people who don't have anyone on their team. Right. And if you only have 3 or 4 girls, honestly, you probably know what they're ordering, hopefully, because hopefully you're talking to them on a regular basis. And they're saying, oh, I have 3 parties next week, and I've ordered whatever. So that's kind of the way that goes. And then the question says,
any advice y'all could give on growing your team?
I talked about it a little bit at the beginning, so you give your advice.
Yeah. So one of the things, it's all probably going to sound pretty simple, elementary, but wear LuLaRoe every day. Talk to everybody you meet about it. Tell people about your job and how much you love it, and constantly be. You don't want to be obnoxious about it, because we all have those people in our lives that are obsessed with their direct sales company, and you just hired them on Facebook, and you don't want to be that person. But, you want it to be, you want to be doing something with your business every single day. And, you're going to hear that all the time. If you go to convention or, any of these trainings, you're going to hear these things, but they say it because it's true. Wear your clothes and hand out your business cards like crazy. if you've got one way that I've gotten girls on my team is addicts, people who are just obsessed with my clothes, obsessed with hosting parties, obsessed with buying online. And then at some point, once you've built a relationship with that girl, then you say, why do you keep buying from me? Like, you just need to sign on and be a consultant because, you could get this stuff a lot cheaper and you love the product and you should do it. So planting those seeds whenever you can. And just, I always go into it. If I see somebody, I have girls on my team that I approached and said, I don't say this to very many people. And I meant it too, but I really feel like you would be a great fashion consultant. And I think you really need to think about it. It's a huge commitment.
It was me. It was just me.
It actually was. That's actually a true statement. No, it's true. But anyway, so
she wanted me to get out of her boxes. So.
Yeah. So anyways, I would tell people, like, I have confidence in you. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just somebody feeling like you think that they're going to do well and that they're going to succeed, and putting confidence in them that they didn't have in themselves. So and then it just keeps growing. And now I don't look for people because I don't want anybody else on my team. No, I don't mean that, but I don't need necessarily any more directs. And so anybody that comes to me now is because they came to me. I didn't reach out to them. And I have 2 girls right now. One's in the queue and one's filling out of paperwork. So they're out there, and it's just word of mouth, and it'll grow. So. And the fact that you're on this webinar means that that's something that's interesting to you. So you'll make it happen. Ashley, I don't know who Ashley is. Which Ashley is that? Does it tell us? Ashley, what's your last name? Are you still with us?
South Carolina. I don't know. It doesn't have a last name.
It's exciting.
I can't think off the top of my head. South Carolina makes me think
Miranda and them.
Yeah, Miranda or Katie Dante or Stacy.
We'll figure it out.
So any other questions? I know a lot of you guys are going to watch this later. I know Friday night is a really hard time, but
because we have a really exciting life that we lead. I just went to have a pizza with my family.
Right. And we ate Mexican.
On, so.
And so there's that. Let's see.
Ashley Smith. I'm in the queue now under Katie Dante.
Well,
hi, Ashley.
I love that you're in the queue and you're watching this.
That's awesome. She's ready.
So that you know what's going on.
And who said, can we get, I think that was probably Tracy Daniels. Can we get access to this before?
It looks like it's pushing, see, it says, maybe it was Tracy.
Oh, no, they probably didn't put their name in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Now we're just talking. I think we're done.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a real good time here with us. So, okay. And then, so what I was going to say is if you watch it later and you have questions, feel free to ask, but just remember, and we're saying this a lot because LuLaRoe is focusing on this a lot. Please don't.
Tracy Daniels.
Hi, Tracy Daniels.
Because she's a rock star.
Please don't think that this is about us. It's the way LuLaRoe wants. Oh no, it kicked me out. Well, I'm glad you're back in. You can go back and
you missed a lot. It was riveting information.
Watch it after, but that chain of command. That's the last thing I want to say. LuLaRoe is really focusing on that, and it's for a reason. If I jump over Brittany and just reach out to her upline because I just don't like her answer, or I just don't feel like Brittany really has time for me or wants to talk to me, I never build a relationship with Brittany, my sponsor. And so then it just happens. You feel disconnected. So then the next time something happens, you're like, oh, I'm not connected to Brittany, but I don't really want to reach out to her upline again because I've already bothered her once. And so you can see how that becomes an issue. And before you know it, you feel isolated and you don't feel like you can get answers. And then all of a sudden you're questioning, because we do this as women, what the heck you're doing with LuLaRoe. And it can all be prevented. So also just, I think probably if your sponsor is usually the one that attracted you to the business in some capacity, and you usually have some kind of connection with them. So feed on that, focus on that. So take your questions to your sponsor before you post on a team page, before you go read a bunch of crazy stuff on How We Row or anything else. Go to your sponsor first and then kind of take it up from there. So this has been riveting. I know numbers and all that, but when you get that first trainer check, it'll really rock your world. Mm-hmm. We should give them some numbers, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I did say earlier that they're saying trainer checks now are between 2,000 and 4,000 average, right?
Average, yeah.
But there's a lot. They get a lot higher than that.
Mm-hmm. If your girls order a ton, it bumps your number.
For sure.
My first trainer check, I think it was like $2,200, $2,300. That was exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Yes. She laughs now
Yeah.
because that's just little money to her now. So. But $2,200 is still a lot of money to me.
My
so.
first coach check was $10,000.
And that's kind of where those tend to
Mm-hmm.
start, in that 10,000 range. But there's what did they say? Over 20. There's probably over 25 girls that are making over 20.
And there were
checks.
What did they say? There were 50 girls in January who got checks over $10,000.
That's a lot of money. And some of them weren't even coaches. That's the kicker. So I think if you're doing what you need to do and you're working with your team, the nice thing is, like, I don't have to focus on it anymore. I make sure I meet my requirements, but it just naturally grows. It's not growing by thousands a month yet, but it is naturally going up, even if it's just by a few $100s or $1,000 a month. And that gives you it gives you a little more boost to keep going. And I'll tell you, I'm almost at, I think I have 100 girls on my team, and it gets overwhelming. I know sometimes you look at the checks and you think, wow, that's a lot of money. $5,000 or $6,000 or 19 is a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money, but I will tell you, it's a full-time job. I mean, it is. And so the reason you want to get a handle on it in the beginning, and you want to train your direct girls so that they can train their direct girls, is so that you have a good, positive team that works together well. So anyways, that's it. And we'll see you soon.
We're going to do another one of these soon.
Yeah. So if you have some expertise that you feel like the whole team would love to hear, you just reach out to Brittany, because nobody wants to look at this face every week or this one. You want to see new faces that have new ideas.
Yeah. We got some more webinars coming your way, so they're going to be good.
Yes.
Really good.
All right. Y'all have a good weekend.
Bye, friends.
Goodbye. I never know how to turn this off.
You don't want to post it publicly,
in the broadcast.